My name is Mr. Wayne Magani-Shkobu, um, a director at the Brand Institute of Forensics and Security, and I would like us to continue with our course today, and I would like us to focus on topic today, lesson 8, under basic investigation skills, where we are going to talk about burglary investigation. How do we investigate burglary, and what are the simple things that we should keep in mind when conducting burglary investigation? I hope everybody is okay. I am well too, and I hope we are moving on correctly. We are going to first do an introduction, and burglary is described as breaking and entering into private or someone else dwelling, house, or building with an intention of committing crime therein. With an intention of committing a crime therein. So just keep in mind it is described as breaking and entering into a private or someone else uh, dwelling, house, or building with an intention of committing a crime therein. Breaking. And this is actually what happens. Crowbars are used in breaking locks, breaking doors, breaking padlocks. Heavy metals, very steel metals are used in breaking locks, breaking doors, and such kind of equipment, as you can see from the photo. So burglary, what you need to keep in mind is breaking. So the first incident when burglary is reported, you have to establish the point of entry, because there are at least an area of the building must have been broken. Either a window, a door, or the roof must have been broken. You remember there were, I have a question. There were some guys reports in Thika a few years ago where some criminals accessed a bank from underground through the tunnel, and then they accessed the bank from the floor. Can that be considered as burglary, or what kind of um, scheme is that? What kind of scheme is that? Because we say when you break a door or a window or a roof and you access a building or a dwelling with the purpose of stealing items therein, is called burglary. What about when people access a building through the tunnel and they enter the building from underground? How do you describe that? Then we see that there are three types of burglary that you should be aware of. Number one is commercial premises burglaries. Commercial premises burglaries. These are very obvious to you. Number two is safe burglaries. These are burglaries that target safes where precious items are kept. So there's a commercial premises burglaries, and then there is a safe burglaries, and then there is residential burglaries. These are burglaries which target residential premises where people live. Three types of burglaries: one, commercial; two, safe; three, residential. And you must be able to make some notes and some explanations of this type of burglaries if this question comes across you. And then approach of the burglary scene. Now, a report has been made that a burglary has occurred at a particular premises or facility or dwelling. How do you approach the scene? It is in this state that an investigator should move rapidly but avoid excessive noise. For instance, from sirens that may scare away the perpetrators who might still be at the scene, and this may lead for them escaping. So approaching the scene is number one area to think about. That you have received a report, there's a burglary. How do you approach the scene? Approach the scene silently. Don't approach the scene as if you are going to a war zone. Approach the scene silently, knowing that the burglars could still be within. Take into consideration your safety comes number one. So even as you approach the scene, remember these people might still be there, and they could be dangerous. It could turn out to be a very dangerous situation. So you must approach the scene with caution. When approaching the scene, slow down to make observations where possible. For instance, you should be able to see and record the vehicle registration number, if any, that might be leaving the scene having been used to ferry the properties. So those are some of the things you must keep in mind. You must be able to immediately take record registration number of vehicles that might be leaving the scene. Those vehicles might be the ones that have been used to commit burglary and to carry away the properties. Secure the building on arrival to prevent the escape of perpetrators in case they were still around. Check if there is still available brick. If not, be aware of rooftops entries. We have said that sometimes people can enter a building through the rooftop. If it is at night, most burglaries do take when most burglaries take place, use flashlight. This must be held at a position that will ensure the safety of the officer in case the weapon is aimed at the source of light. So remember, I've said burglars could be within the premises and they could be armed. And when approached by torchlights, when they see flashlights, then they could even fire at the flashlights, knowing that those are police officers or those are people who are coming to apprehend them. They may decide to take drastic action in self-defense or in a spirit of fighting, and they may fire at the people who are approaching the scene. So flashlights, don't aim flashlights carelessly. You must be very careful. Ensure to hold the flashlight at a position that will ensure the safety of the officer in case the weapon is aimed at the source of light. If entering the building, your safety must be a priority. However, most burglars are not armed because the crime becomes a serious felony when breaking and entering is associated with weapons. When it is associated with weapon, it becomes completely a different crime. It becomes robbery with violence. It has also been observed burglars occur when the owner of the premises is away. Most burglaries definitely occur when the owner of the premises is away. If you respond to an alarm and not a call from the owner, you should be the owners should be called in before beginning crime scene search. Check if the burglar is still in the house and take a degree of caution. So always when approaching a scene of burglary, take precaution, be very cautious. Remember, we are talking about basic security investigation. So we are just talking about the basics, completely the basics. You have been given an assignment, you are a police officer or you are a security guard, and there has been a reported burglary case, and you are following up on this. Approach the scene carefully with caution because the burglars could still be within that premises. Burglary action plans at the scene. As an investigator, ensure at the burglary scene there is caution sign not to destroy any physical evidence, as you also try to determine whether the suspect is or are still in the building. Your safety must be your top priority. Your safety at all times, not only when investigating burglary, even when investigating other crimes, even in line of duty, your safety must be number one. Always keep your safety as a priority because anyway, you cannot do the job if you are not safe yourself. So always make sure that you are safe before you can continue with conducting this investigation. Also, establish the point of entry. That one is very important. Check if there are packages, breakages, etc., or entry was through the roof. Establish also the point of entry into the compound and exit to know the direction of escape, which must be explored to recover physical evidence such as footmarks, dropped items, among others. Take care not to destroy evidence such as fingerprints on doors, etc. So you must take care not to destroy evidence on um, um, doors, windows, etc. Mainly fingerprints. So when you are approaching a burglary scene, those are some of the things you must keep in mind. Establish the point of entry. Ensure you do not destroy evidence at the scene. Ensure you are approaching it in a very cautious way. In a very cautious way. Remember, the burglars could still be in the building and they could be armed. They could be dangerous. So you must use caution when you approach burglary scene. Then take keen notes on the unusual signs that might have investigative value. And then this includes cases of vandalism, choice of what is taken away and what is left may also suggest the type of perpetrators, e.g. juveniles, among others. So take note of unusual signs that might have investigative value. Take note of the unusual signs that might have investigative value. Then establish if someone's valuables had been removed from the house before burglary reports. If so, it could be an inside job. We talked about an inside job. Outsiders colluding with insiders or insiders doing the job by themselves. So establish if someone's valuables had been removed from the house before burglary reports. If so, it could be an inside job. Establishing the weight of the items taken away is also necessary. This will help the investigator to know if several suspects were involved and the means of carrying the loot. These are some of the things that you must take into consideration when you are approaching a burglary scene. Also, establish the articles and the tools left behind. This, combined with other specifics of the crime, will be vital to identification of suspects. Identification of suspects is the key, and identification of suspects will depend on if you can establish if there are any articles or tools left behind. If commercial burglaries, establish with the help of owners if any check leaves have been taken away. This will prevent their encashment in time. So checks are very important. Checkbooks, there are people who operate with checkbooks. You go, you do a job for him, he writes you a check. So sometimes when burglaries have been reported, you find that burglars have taken away checkbooks and they may go into fraudulent activity and cash out lots of money from the bank using these genuine checks. Take note that in suspicious entries, that is where burglaries has occurred, but there is no apparent forced break. The common explanation or investigative lead is that someone has a spare of an authorized key or the lock was picked. That is an object such as pins were used to open the doors or padlocks. So sometimes burglaries are reported, but you find that there are no breakages. So where there are no breakages, then remember somebody might have used key, a genuine key, to access the premises, or the padlock may have been broken, or somebody may have used other means to gain access into the premises and to commit the crime. So keep that one in mind. Finally, establish the exact time the burglary took place. This, however, might be difficult in late reports due to the fact that owners were away. This may complicate investigations where items stolen are sold days before the crime is detected and reported. So be very, 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 very careful and establish the exact time the burglary took place. This, however, might be difficult in late reports due to the fact that owners were away. Burglary prevention. Burglary prevention. We want to go through simple measures at the basic level that we can use to prevent burglary. And we are training you on burglary prevention because sometimes you are a security officer, sometimes you are a security guard, and you are manning a property, but the owners are not there. The owners have left, and you are the one who's in charge, shift at that particular site, and you must know what are the procedures necessary to prevent burglary. How to reduce the risk of residential burglary when the occupants are away. This is what we are talking about. According to Swanson, it is the responsibility of crime investigators to tell the victims the precautions they should take to decrease their likelihood of being hit again. So, even you, if you are a security guard or a security officer, and where you are working, the owners are going on a long vacation for 1 month, they are going to the Republic of Maldives, and you are the one who will be left behind, you must be able to advise them on measures that are necessary to prevent burglary. So we are going to talk about these precautions. And precaution number one, to prevent residential burglaries, you as an expert should advise people that when on a vacation or away from a long duration, occupants of residential buildings should do the following. At minimum, they should do the following. Number one, the occupants should stop all the daily deliveries that may come when away or request trusted neighbors to pick them. Such deliveries may be newspaper, groceries, among others. So your occupants, before they leave, they should send out notifications to their suppliers that we are not going to be around. So please don't come supplying things because we shall not be there. Suppliers should be informed. And then the reason for this is that people who deliver their items may arrange burglary when they realize the occupants are away. So they should be told in advance that they should not be bringing any deliveries, because there are same people who may again arrange burglary. Remember, it is a two-way cutting sword. It's like a sword, because again, if you inform suppliers that we are going to be away, so don't supply things, then they know these people will not be there, so they can again easily arrange a burglary. However, the key word here is that supplies should be stopped. And then the occupants should arrange for a special watch on their premises. This can be patrol officers. The occupants should set timers or have somebody to turn on the lights and radios to create the impression that they are around and inside the building. Creating radios. I've seen even in some areas when people are traveling for a long time, they leave behind a radio. It will be talking and some lights in the building that will be on throughout, so that if there is an attempted burglary, people might have suspicion that this building is occupied. And then they should ask trusted neighbors to immediately report any spotted suspicious characters around their dwelling to the police. They should ask trusted neighbors to immediately report any spotted suspicious characters around their dwelling to the police. Reporting to police is very important. And then also, you can also advise the occupants should the occupants should ask the trusted neighbors to stop over occasionally. The occupants should ask the trusted neighbors to stop over occasionally and use clothes, drying lines, draw the curtains to create the impression that they are in. The occupants should put warning signs of security guards, dogs, umbakali, and if they really have dogs, they should let neighbors take care of them within their compound. These are some of the procedures. We are taking you through this because you are employed as a security officer, you are employed as a security guard, you are employed as an investigator, and you'll be stationed in these premises. You never know the course of your career, how it is going, and you must be able to advise the occupants of buildings before they leave for long away stays, the precautions to take to prevent burglary. Then also general measures that will reduce burglaries and burglary laws. Have alarm systems and strong burglar-proof installation on those windows, and have a secure room. It is your responsibility as a security officer, a security guard, to patrol and ensure there is an alarm system, there are strong burglar-proof installations on doors and windows, and the roof is secure. Remember, we said the people can access our premises through the roof. Avoid placing valuable items where they can be seen through the window. Avoid placing valuable items where they can be seen through the window. Clear unnecessary bushes in the compound where burglars can hide. Clear unnecessary bushes in the compound where burglars can hide. And then have a secure fence, e.g. thorny plants. Do not leave ladders or tools lying around in the compound. Also avoid things like clothes on outside line that might attract thieves into the compound. Do not talk strangers about your movement. Do not talk to strangers about your movement, e.g. when away and when in. Do not let strangers in your house locations. Neither should your children, housemates, among others. You have seen that even in dwellings at Nairobi, sometimes people will allow strangers to access their room, and children, teenagers will bring strangers into the room, and without knowing that they are creating an opportunity. They are creating an opportunity for these people to conduct surveillance and target the facility or the home at a later stage. Have a strong control over your house keys. House keys are very important. Do not let them be in the hands of untrusted individuals. This is because they can make spares of your keys. Do not leave notes on the doors saying where you have gone or when you will be back. The occupants should strive to have honest and trustworthy neighbors who can take care of the property when they are away. Neighbors, you should ensure that you can live in good harmony with your neighbors, that you can exist in good harmony with your neighbors, so that even if you are leaving, then your neighbors can be able to watch or to take care of the property as you are away. These are some of the most important measures that you should be able to advise owners of commercial buildings and even residential buildings when they are leaving for a long stay away, to avoid going into a situation of investigating burglary. The occupants should take pictures of their properties for easy identification should others take them away. Finally, it is important to employ people of integrity as cooks, maids, watchmen, among others. Remember, we trust them, we love them, cooks, maids, and even some security guards. But again, we said these things usually happen with outsiders working, colluding with insiders. Sometimes these staff become criminals and they collude with outsiders, and then you are taken advantage of. And then do not keep spare keys in the usual places, such as under the doormat or the door, in flower pots, because burglars know these places. They know these places very well. Again, do not go out leaving the doors open even when you expect to come back after a short while. Make allowable with your identity. Mark valuables with your identity, which you can know them if they are stolen. This will deter thieves. Marking valuables with your identity is also very important when we talk about prevention of burglary or an investigation of burglary. Then also we say, uh, as a topic summary, in this topic we have learned about burglary investigations and covered the following: definition of burglary, which is breaking and entering into a building, a dwelling, or somebody's house with the intention of stealing property from therein. And then we have also seen that the measures to be taken at the burglary scenes and the vital consideration in burglary investigation, and finally, strategies for reducing burglary instances and burglary losses. This is a very away a topic, and I have just tried my level best to stay within the basics without going very far out of the context of the course. So just stay with the basics, study the basics, because even the exams will just come from the basics. Will not attempt to go into burglary in high-rise building or burglary in complex facilities. We're just going to talk about simple burglary cases that you may need to investigate in your line of duty. Those few remarks, we are going to meet again for the next course, which will be computer crimes, and then we shall also look at fraud at a later stage as we move along. I would very, very much like that if you can cover these two topics this weekend, it will be very nice, so that you can give me room for one weekend to present to you other issues that are out of the scope of this training but touch on investigations. That is also very important. So I would wish that this weekend you can complete these two lessons, so that you can conduct two lessons this weekend, so that next weekend we see the direction things are taking. But this one, I'll speak to our director, Fred, will guide me accordingly on how we can manage it. Thank you very much. We will meet again in a few coming days.